You're welcome back, guys. And in the previous section of the tutorial, we had a Node.js server setup. We created an integrated database and we synced that with the ORM SQLize. We had a model table created, our services file that communicated with the database that was also created. And now in this sixth section of the tutorial, we will be creating the express route, and then we'll be linking that with the necessary service controller function. So for us to create an express route and link that with the necessary function, we need to first import the express. This is express. We need to require that from the express package we installed. Okay, now from the express we need to get the router method. We can get that by calling route we need that from express.router, from the router method in our express package. Okay, so now that is the router, and then we can call it router route. So we want to get the first one, which is router.post. So when I accept the post request here, and then this is this method will accept two items. The first one is the address we want the user to go to when they are making this post request, and then the other parameter this function will accept is a function, which is usually an express function. So we want it whenever the user go to the address create -user, that is the route, and then the express function we want to call for this. We can have this function defined somewhere, or we can have it in the same file like we have it here at the moment. So since this is very basic, I think we just have the function here all in one go. So we want to have the function should be let me create a function. We can have a function there which is taking in a request and a response variable, and then we'll have the function body here. So now this is a post request. The user will be sending in some items, name, email, and password. So that is coming in from a request body, right? And so those items, once we get them, we want to pass it to our service function, to our service method, which is in our user service class. So for that, we need to import this user service package we created there, the user service class rather, which we created. And let me go ahead and import that here, and it's user service. This is we'll just go ahead and require the package. We want to get that from services. We need to go outside of the directory, so we want to get that from our services, and want to get that from this user service method which we have there. Okay, so it's a class, and we have the method within this services class file. So now this will be getting the data, and we can call that payload. We can call that as payload. That is equal whatsoever the user is bringing from the request dot body. Okay, so that will be our payload. Then all what we need to do is we can have that we can have a new user will be whatsoever this service method want to return back to us. So that is user service. Want to have user service dot create user and then we need to pass in the payload right there into the function. And remember, this method was asynchronous, so it's very important we try to await whatsoever that response will be. And since we're using the await keyword here, we need to make our function an asynchronous function as well. So we need to wrap this, we need to put the async keyword right here before our function, so everything is now fine, and then we can just go ahead and respond back with the whatsoever response, with the new user response we are getting. So just use the keyword response dot, we can put a status of 201, that is for Express successfully creating one, and then we can send back a JSON. Can send back a JSON of response of the new user, which was created from .create method. So that is basically it. That is how you have the create method, and it's just as simple as that. Then for the get all, we can also have another route here. We can use router.get. So since we want to get them, we're not sending any payload this time around. So just like I said, remember, we'll need to put in the address on where you want the user to go to get this, to make this request. So we want to use it should be get all, and we put an iPhone users. So we have that, and let's have an async function again. Async function, this is taking in a request and a response from Express, and then the function body goes in here. So for that, we will be using the user service.getAllUser user method, which I think we have here. This is create user. Oh, I think I will have a typo here, and it should be, I'm missing an A there. So it's create all user, and then the other method is get all user. So let me copy this so we don't, okay, we have the correct thing there now. And then for the get all user, this is the method which we are calling. And so the function, just the method, just like we have it here, is not accepting any parameter variable. So we can just have that, we can just go ahead and return, or let's just create a variable, call it const all users equal, let's await user service dot wanna get all user, and that's the method we are calling. And we want to just respond back with the message of first thing. Let's just put in our status of 200, and that is successfully gotten some record. And then I want to send back a JSON response of all the users which we are getting from here, from the method call which we're making here. Let me just give it some space here so we can see that clearly. So we want to return back a JSON format of all the user we got from the method call which we made here. And then let's quickly get by ID, and then do a delete by ID. So we'll also use a get method there, router.get. So the path to this wants it to be get user by ID. You can give this path name any name you want to call it. There's actually no one way of going around it, so just make it a little bit descriptive, and that's why I'm just using the minus there to separate them. So we have an express function. Once again, is taking this, we have a request first, and then we have a response, and then the function body comes in here. So for the get by ID, so we need to pass the ID here as a parameter. The ID is not fix. The ID is very dynamic, so for that you can have a slash here and then put in a column and then ID. So this is telling Express that this variable coming in here is any variable. It's a dynamic variable, and the key or the name of that variable is ID. So if you change this to user ID, then wherever you want to call it, then you have to use user ID. Let me just put in ID there. Okay, so we have that, and we need to grab that ID because we'll be passing that to our get by ID function. So we can call it user ID, or you can call it ID still if you want. ID that is equal, we're getting that from the request dot params dot ID. So that will get us our ID record, and then we need to pass that into our function. So we can have const user equal await user service user service. Oh, wait a minute. User service. What is the method once again? Gets user by ID. That's the method we want to call on and get our data. User service dot find by ID, and then we're passing in the ID variable there. So just nothing much. We just respond back with the status of 200. That is for a successful get operation, and then we're going to send back a JSON of the user we're able to fetch. And so that is it. That is how you do your get. And I'll just give it a pause here. In the next tutorial section, we'll work on the delete and the update user by ID. So thank you very much for sticking around. See you in the next video section.